I was sitting down with one of my mates and I just got hit like a ton of bricks straight away. It was like an impact thing almost. Like I'd had a similar feeling before. I was like, fuck. Yeah, Sunday was bedridden and like couldn't move. I physically couldn't even open the top of a water bottle. The doctor said to me, it's always in your body. Like as soon as my immune system starts running low, you know, between probably ignoring the pain of the motorbike crash, drinking, you know, 2 days of that, not sleeping well, my immune system shut down, all the dirty water from Songkran and things like that, a mixture of that and then possibly like another bug bite or just resurfacing the old dengue.
Welcome to Fruiting Body Podcast with your host, Brendan. Today we have another legend of a guest, Sammy Cassidy. He is the head striking coach over at MMA Southside. Now, we're going to be digging specifically today about Dengue Fever. And is it dengue or dengue? Dengue Fever. He's had it twice. So this podcast is going to focus first on what he went through, how he got it, and how he's feeling today. And as we always do on the Fruiting Body Podcast, telling his life story. How did Sammy get here? What's he doing here? What's next for him? And we're going to learn about his journey. Definitely rambling and over talking. So if you're tired of that rambling, we got timestamps. You can navigate, see different chapters of what we discussed today. If you want to know who we are Fruiting Body Podcast. So we're doing Fruiting Body mushrooms, stuff like nootropics, cordyceps, lion's mane, reishi. You can check us out. Link in the description to Lazada. This is exclusive for Thailand only. And do not forget to like, subscribe. That helps us out. We're growing quite quickly now, and we want to get this up to 10K. So without further ado, Sam Cassidy. So I kind of fucked that up. I was like Sammy, and just got in my head. So again, we're going to kind of jump into the dengue fever. We'll talk about his life, his journey, why he came to Thailand without all that hippy-dippy bullshit. And a little bit about how we first met with Muay Thai and mushrooms and where the fuck that content is. Who knows? It's coming. So first of all, thanks for joining us, and let's just jump right into it. Dengue fever, you got it. How did it happen? What was it like?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on the show. Appreciate it. So this is the second time I've got the fucking thing. So Songkran last week. So it's been 9 days or 10 days since Songkran. Classic, you know, tourist thing, which is ridiculous because I've been here for so long now. My first ever motorcycle accident, copped a big bucket of water. Trying to turn into a bar, you know, which is fitting. Trying to turn into a bar, a bit of gravel, all that slid out. Obviously thought, well, I'm at the bar, so don't worry about the rest of this shit. And, started drinking beers all day, hammering buckets, carrying on. It was actually the day before Songkran. And, drank myself to sleep, woke up the next day and like, I better get down to the Songkran. Didn't look at my leg. Like, obviously could feel the pain and shit like that, but I was like, the show must go on, as they say. So, went down to Southside and met up with a few people there, and then the rest is history, unfortunately. So went from there, spent the whole day there. People, we're walking around with buckets and people are soaking their dirty water guns into the buckets deliberately. And I'm thinking it's hilarious at the time. Like, this is the best thing ever. Went to work Friday, which was a bit rough just in general. And then, Saturday, I was sitting down with one of my mates, Will, and I just got hit like a ton of bricks straight away. It was like an impact thing almost. And I knew, like, I'd had a similar feeling before, like I had when I'd had dengue in the past. And funnily enough, I rang Jay Paddo, who you had on here as well, because he'd only just recently recovered from dengue. I was like, brother, run me through the symptoms again. And he's like, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, fuck. And then, Sunday was bedridden, man. Like, couldn't move. I physically couldn't even open the top of a water bottle.
How do you think you got it, from a mosquito bite or the dirty water?
I think, so the doctor said to me, once you've had it once before, you're susceptible. It's like one of those things, it's like glandular fever. I think it's always in your body. Obviously, I'm no medical student. But it's like as soon as my immune system starts running low and, between probably ignoring the pain of the motorbike crash, drinking, 2 days of that, not sleeping well, my immune system shut down, all the dirty water from Songkran and things like that, a mixture of that and then possibly like another bug bite or just resurfacing the old dengue.
Or it could be like, and the bacteria, like, I mean, you're getting all the filthy water in the cut. Who knows?
Yeah, exactly. And I was not shying away from anything. Like,
yeah, and plus there could, so maybe that, I mean, that could be a myth. Like maybe it's not just from mosquitoes here. It could be from just bacteria.
And obviously like the language barrier didn't make things very simple. They're just like, yeah, dengue, go away. And I'm like, sweet. Well, that's all I need to know really.
So does it last like a couple days? And what do you do to
this time was, the last time I got it, I was bedridden for seven or 8 days, like completely bedridden. This time I was like 5 days, but I took a bit of advice from a friend of mine, which was strange, but I knew last time I couldn't eat, and he said to me, he goes, bro, don't have any like medicine, don't do anything, just water fast the whole time. And I was like, well, it's not any different to what I'm doing anyway. I can't eat. So I literally water fasted, tried to make sure I got like 8 liters of water every day, and I bounced back within about 5 days. And now it's probably been 10 days since Songkran. I'm still like very hot and a little bit weak and things like that, but able to hold a conversation. And
what are the symptoms like? What are you?
Like,
is it aching?
It's like paralysis, like being paralyzed. Like it's just you just like you feel like you're rubber. You can't move your bones. Everything, your joints kill. You're just sweating profusely nonstop. I went through like 4 different bed sheets and linen and stuff like that. It's like, it's painful, man. It's worse than any post fight, anything like that. Because like I said, like your whole strength's gone. Like you can't physically get up. You want to, like I wanted to have a shower just to get the sweat off. You'd have a hot shower, you'd feel freezing cold. So you'd make it cold, then you'd be hot, and then like you're always on the worst end of the spectrum. Is
it like you're feeling inflammation in your joints?
You kind of feel like you're rubber. You know what I mean? And you just like you can't really maneuver, you can't do anything, and then it starts becoming like a bit of a mental battle because you're like, why can't I just fucking sit up, And then, like I said, you're just sitting there and just profusely sweating like nothing you've ever seen before.
Interesting.
Like I'll be sauna, aircon on at like 24, 23 degrees, and I feel like I'm in a sauna. It's just like I actually don't wish it upon anyone, but like I'm getting good at it now, 2 times, so I'm third time I'll probably be over it in 3 days.
Well, I heard. Isn't it something like if you get it the 3rd time, it could be deadly?
I'm not too sure. To be honest, I haven't looked that far into it. I was just like tackling what was happening at the time. But I fucking hope I don't get it a 3rd time.
Yeah, I heard something that then it can get to the level where it affects like your respiratory and like you need to go to the hospital. Someone was telling me like don't get it 3 times.
Probably Jay. When Jay had it, he was fucked. But then when I was getting it this time, I was like, this feels like it's going to be really bad, but it actually came out.
We brought some this isn't even a plug. I actually just thought of this. We were going to give this anyways. The cordyceps. Well, we'll hand those over. Obviously, take at the end of the show. But cordyceps, they're used primarily. Do you know what the cordyceps mushroom is?
No, I'm not actually familiar with it.
Cordyceps is, they call it like the alien mushroom. There's a new show on HBO called The Last of Us. It's about the zombies getting taken over, and it's by mushrooms, these cordyceps. Now, they basically look like Cheetos. You can see on the front of the bottle. That's what they look like.
It's easy for me to digest.
Yeah, and it's just pure energy. We have ginger in that as well. But a lot of people who have Lyme disease take this.
Oh, no way.
And it kind of can boost the immune system back. Like any type of mushroom, it's doing so many different things. It depends. But hey, try them out.
100%. Thank you.
Yeah, try them out and see if it does anything. I gave to a lot of the athletes I've given to here, and it boosts VO2 max levels. So they'll call me up and they're like, what the fuck was that? Like they get a little bit of an extra boost. I mean, it's not the juice, but it's
noticeable.
Yeah, it's noticeable. I take it usually swimming because I can't run. My foot's all messed up, but yeah, it definitely works. So not too much on that plug, but on our second plug, we want to give a big shout out to 5 Star Marine. 5 Star is a private speedboat yacht tour company on the island of Phuket. They are making this entire production of the podcast happen. So you can go check them out at 5 Star Marine Phuket. Links are in the description. And the main advantage of going with those guys on their tours is you can customize your own tour. You do not need to listen to a captain direct you where we're going today based on everyone going there. So you can get away from the crowds. Again, check them out. 5 Star Marine Phuket at 5 Star Marine Phuket on Instagram. Okay. So back to the podcast. Just a couple more things about the dengue. I have like verbal dyslexia. Now, when you get it, right when you get past it, are you like, is it a switch? You can come back, you can get back to work, or are you calling up the boss and you're like, fuck, I'm done for a couple days here.
Yeah, well,
or 5 days.
On the Saturday night when I was eating dinner with my mate, I was like, fuck, man, we were supposed to, his mum was in town and all this stuff, and we're supposed to go out. I was like, I'm going to go home. Like, I just don't feel that good. So say that was 7 p.m. By 10 p.m., I was just fucking like in so much agony. It just hits like a ton of bricks, but coming out of it, it's just progressive. Like the day before yesterday was the first day I just went back to the gym and just, you know, like as soon as you say dengue, everyone's like, oh, he's going to fucking infect the whole place. It's not contagious. Yeah. But you know what I mean? It's such a like a synonymous word with people being ill. So everyone's like, even when I got there, people were like, oh, hey man, you know. I was like, you fucking morons, it's sweet. Like,
I think like COVID messed it all up.
Yeah. But yeah, just progressive. Like today it's my first day after this, I'll be going back to hold pads and get back into it. So it's just the like the immune system, everything feels sweet. The mental side of things, I'm still a little bit slow, but I've always been a little bit slow, so I don't really know what to compare it to. But it's more the physical. I just got to see how I'm going to go with impact again and holding pads and all that shit. So there's only one way to find out, really.
Okay, I'll give you some lion's mane as well downstairs. Just it promotes nerve growth factor, and I like I'm trying to be a bit of a testing doctor or scientist. Yeah, Like, hey guys, you got these problems? Let's try these out.
There's only one way to find out, mate.
Okay, so let's now that you've arrived, you listened to the dengue fever, you've enjoyed that clickbait. We're gonna jump back into the actual podcast. So as we do always on the Fruiting Body podcast, let's just start at the beginning, your journey and why you came to Phuket.
Like I've got my stories can go for 5 days. So I was playing in a poker tournament and ended up winning nearly $400,000.
Jesus.
Yeah. So after that, I went traveling through Europe and stuff again because I'd had such a good time the first time, losing my contract. So did all that with a friend. Obviously met a lot of good people out there through that. And then I think it was like 95 days or 97 days of drinking every day. I was like, fuck, I need to change this up a little bit. I wasn't having the worst time. I was having a great time, but
this is all still kind of all under the age of 25.
Yeah, so I was 23 at this stage.
So when you come into that type of money, especially from something, I'm a poker player. I'm a bit of a degenerate gambler for sure. Yeah. Well, when you come into that money at a young age, like, what was your reaction? How did you handle it? What were you doing? Was it just flying around?
No, so I was still working at the time, obviously. And it was a Friday night, and I was at Crown Casino with one friend, and it was really weird. Like, the way that the thing happened was it was a running bonus, and I hit a royal flush on the flop, and then I got that. But the thing is, before I got there, my friend's like, "Oh no, I'm going to sit here," and he wanted to swap seats with me. So it was like a burning thing for him for his whole life. And it's like midnight, and I raced home, got my check. Like the security escorted me out of the place. Got my check, went home to my parents' house, and I was like, fuck, listen, I've just, done this. And my dad's like, all right, well, make sure you get ready for work in the morning. And I was like, all right, sweet. So I went to work the next morning with a fucking $400,000 check sitting in my pocket. I'm like, what the fuck am I doing here? I thought the world had changed. It's obviously really good money, but it wasn't life-changing or anything. But my parents took some of the money. I took some of the money. Gave my family some, but my parents kept it for me.
Probably the wise decision at that
age. Yeah, because the rest of it got pissed off against the wall.
This was in Australia or the UK?
In Australia.
In Australia, okay.
Yeah, in Melbourne. So, I continued working. I was still doing 6 days a week in construction. Continued working for like 4 months, and then, we went overseas, and that's when I started traveling through Europe and just under 4 months of just drinking every day.
Kind of just backpacking Europe, going at all the
a little bit more than backpacking, you know what I mean? I had a bit of money, so I was still staying in hostels every now and then just to have a good time. And like my mates that I was with at the time, they were like, fuck man, we can't really afford to be staying at the Palazzo and shit like that. So it was still good. I was just able to do other little things. And then so it got to a stage, and one of the boys was like, oh, I'm going to go to Thailand and go to this fat camp thing. And I was like, fuck it, I got nothing else to do, man. I may as well come with you. And I kind of missed training because my whole life was regimented, like when I'd finished school, I'd go to training for golf or for rugby. So I kind of missed like the aspect of having a schedule. So, we got on the plane. This is 2011. Got on a plane and arrived at Tiger. So we, when we got to Tiger in 2011, it was like a beautiful like jungle sanctuary. There was no ATM, no 7-Eleven. Like there was fucking 3 restaurants, 2 or 3 gyms. Like it was just all greenery. You know, like obviously now it's a fucking, it's like its own, it's its own city.
Yeah.
So so we just got in pretty much straight into it. Never did any Muay Thai. Never, even when I was young, playing rugby, being bigger and like, you know, the places where I grew up and stuff like that. I fucking always used to hate people that fought in the streets, and like I was never really like a rough and tumble type of person. Like on the footy field, I was a bit rough, but I kind of just, you know, kept it all for where it went to be. And started training Muay Thai at Tiger, just, you know, for fitness. And I was there 2 weeks later. They had the barbecue beatdown, and then they come to me, they're like, oh, there's a guy that needs an opponent, but he's really big. No one else can do it. I was like, oh, fuck it, I'll have a go, you know. Didn't really know any different. So I'd been drinking for 4 months, training for 2, and I was like, yeah, sweet, fuck it, I'll have a go. And jumped in there and ended up knocking the guy out. And then a love for the sport developed from there. And it wasn't necessarily the fact of like knocking someone out and punching. It was like being able to test myself, you know, against someone that's been preparing to do the same thing. Because like I said, I'd played rugby, you know, a very team-oriented environment, and golf was always something that I enjoyed more because it's like, you know, you're the person responsible for the outcome. Mm-hmm. So, after that fight, I kind of took it a little bit serious straight away.
Was this guy experienced or kind of the same level?
He'd been at the camp for 6 months training.
So still kind of.
Yeah. But like I said, it was just, I was like, oh, fuck this poor guy. Like, you know what I mean? If I get beaten up, so be it. Everyone's going to expect him to win anyway. He's been here for so long. I've been here for 2 weeks. And from there, it just fucking snowballed into what's
okay,
now.
sorry. I thought you said 2 months. Okay, yeah, 2 weeks is that's a game changer.
Yeah, I'd been there for 2 weeks.
Yeah, sorry. I thought you said you're saying 2 months. Okay, that's not a lot of training.
No, I'd been there for 2 weeks, and I was still I was still drinking at the time too. You know, like that's Saturday night, the weekend before I was out at Patong. So, but it was cool. It was kind of like one of those, not euphoric moments or anything like that, but like I could definitely tell that there was something that I wanted to pursue, and so I went from that fight and I trained straight away. Like I didn't get injured or anything like that, and kind of had that taste for, you know, the competition. And then probably 3 months later, I fought at Bangla against a guy that was, you know, I think he drove his tuk-tuk home from there, but it was still that whole experience and not knowing what was going through. And then, after that first, like professional, which obviously isn't a professional fight, but no shin pads and stuff like that, I was kind of hooked.
Is this have you reached the Full Metal Dojo days yet? Or
no. So this is way before that.
Yeah.
This is like 2011, 2012. And from that, it's just, snowballed into what's happened now. So
at which point when initially you're kind of just training for fitness and whatnot. When did that kind of transition to, you know, let's take Thailand serious. Let's make this a home.
So in that first outing when we were out here, when we came for the fat camp, we were initially going to stay for 4 weeks and just, you know, because it was just on the way home. So you could just call into Thailand, train for 4 weeks and then get back to Melbourne. I ended up staying for 9 months in that 4 week stint. So I had 3 fights in that 9 months. And then from there, it was just like, how do I work on making this like a permanent move or a semi-permanent move? And I was just, from there, I was doing 6 months back in Australia because I was working in unionised construction. So it was very, very good pay and stuff like that. So I'd work for 6 months and then come over here for 6 months, go back. And I did that for on and off for 4 years. And then obviously from there, made really, really good relationships with people out here that are still here. Like after that first barbecue beatdown fight, I went to Patong and that's when I first met Woody. So it's just like, when people would see us together, they're like, there's no way you guys are friends, like the way we talk to each other. And like, but the first night we're at what used to be called Seduction. It was like one of the main nightclubs out here. And he came up to me and I just fought at the beatdown, you know, and he's like, you're a big buffoon. And I went, yeah, you're right. And he goes, all right, well, should we go have a beer? I'm like, yeah, sweet. And then from that day onwards, he's been one of my best friends. So just, so Woody was one of those people that I credit a lot of my Phuket life to. Because when I was even like, you know, contemplating coming back, I'd ask him, you know, what's the best way to do things. And he'd already been here for, I think, 2 years before.
Well, he would have been working at Tiger while you were training there.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So he was the head of strength and conditioning when I was there. So, yeah, like I said, I credit him to a lot of the things that have kind of come through there. Because after about 3 to 4 years of training on and off, coming over 6 months at a time and things like that. He was the one that put me forward for the sponsorship for the fight team, and George and that all agreed that it was a good fit because, well, at the time they fucking threw me in for being a punching bag for like Mark Hunt and Khalil Roundtree and all that stuff, but it's what I wanted, you know what I mean? It was awesome. So like those boys that were, you know, played a really, really iconic role in making my Phuket life kind of kickstart.
Yeah, and just for context for the audience, he's talking about Andrew Woody, which is one of I think the head strength and conditioning coach over at Bangtao Muay Thai and MMA. Also strength and conditioning coach for guys such as he's working with Volkanovski. He was on Ultimate Fighter. He's the strength S&C coach for Rafael Fiziev and many other big name fighters. And also you referred to George Hickman from the Hickman brothers, who is the head MMA coach over at Bangtao Muay Thai and MMA, just in case people hear these words. Who the hell are those guys?
So they're, you know, like Phuket old heads.
Yep. So that advice you're getting from Woody, you're kind of going back and forth between construction. What was kind of the game plan or the roadmap to make a permanent move here? Was it purely on the sponsorship fighter so that, you know, you're not paying for the training, you're able to kind of at least live here where you're not burning your own savings? Yeah,
well, there's a misconception about being a sponsored fighter where everyone thinks it's the be all and end all of you know, your combat you know, career and things like that. Tiger was fantastic to me because I was kind of like in like a limbo situation. I wasn't on like you know, they took part of my contract or anything like that, which I was really grateful for because I was there to be a body to help all these big guys that no one else could help with sparring, you know, like they had Mark Hunt, the Tougher brothers, Bam Bam Tuivasa, you know, like Khalil Roundtree and all that were all there at the time. So, but yeah, so a lot of people with the sponsorship idea think that, you know, it's the greatest thing in the world, but you become not property because that's, you know, it's a bad term to say, but you have to, you know, you have to be there all day, every day. You have to make sure that you're doing extras. Otherwise, you know, that opportunity can be taken from you. It's a job.
But without being too pessimistic on it, I mean, these big name fighters, they're coming in, they got to train because, I mean, they're getting paid the big bucks at that event.
Yes, exactly.
Do you kind of become I don't want to like position it this way. Do you become like a tool of Tiger?
Yeah. Like not of Tiger, of any gym in particular, but, and you get told that, you know what I mean? Like, well, I was told that by Woody and George and that because they're like, hey man, like we could really use some help with these guys, you know, like, because they all have their own crew and stuff like that, but they just like having, you know, fresher faces and different, you know, different angles and different type of fighters and things like that. And I was fucking grateful for that opportunity, you know, because I'm mixing it with the best and it's only making me better. But yeah, like I said, people get caught up. They're like, oh, because now that I, you know, own a gym and I'm a head coach of a gym, I get people every day. Oh, I want to be sponsored. I want to be sponsored. I'm like, guys, you don't understand like what it actually means to be sponsored. You know, like part of your fight purse goes to the gym instead of paying for your training. You know, like if the gym needs something to be done, you know, we need you to help in that situation. You have a certain criteria of training you have to adhere to. Like it is good, and some people make it, but a lot of people will struggle when they actually understand what the full concept of the sponsorship is.
I think on that topic, it could be interesting to jump into, and we'll clip this later for anyone that wants to see. We have a clips channel. Let's just jump right into it, like from the business side. Not the exact numbers, but at least the structure of the sponsored fighter. What percentage is going to the gym? What's going in your pocket? Realistically, in the first year, where are you fighting, and what are you actually making? What does it cost to survive here? Like, what are those bare numbers like on a very like budgetary estimation level? So if anyone's listening, they can be like, okay, I have a clear idea. Like this would be the conversation probably Woody gave you.
Yeah. So depending on the, you know, like the logistics of things and what you're getting from the actual gym, like, because we have accommodation available, we have management, we have all that type of thing. So there's like different tiers, obviously, that go through the situation. Like, if you're purely there just for training and you have your own accommodation and you have all that other stuff sorted, you could be like looking at 20% of your fight purse every time you fight. And if you're not in a sanctioned organization already and you're fighting at like Bangla and things like that, you're only making 6,000 baht, 5,000 baht. So
and then the rest goes to the gym, or that.
No. So of that 5,000 baht, the gym will take 20%, whatever it is, 30%. And that varies from gym to gym. You know, I've heard of a lot of gyms taking 70% of the purse and leaving the people with 30%. So like, there is no set number. There's no like blueprint on how it's supposed to be done. It's kind of whatever the agreement is with you and that person at the time. But like, the structure will usually implement like every asset you take from the gym is probably like another 10%. So if you want to stay at the gym, accommodation wise, it's another 10% of your purse. If you want to use like, you know, facilities or, you know, food or something like that, it's another 10%. So people can be like, oh, this is great. You know, I'm only losing 50% of my purse. But if you're only making 10,000 baht, you know, you've got 5,000 baht after being in a war for 3 rounds or something like that. And then they start, you know, that's when everything starts adding up. Because then if you get injured, you're out for another couple of weeks. You can't fight again. Your residual income's not coming in as quick as you thought.
How do the gyms look at the sponsored fighters? Are they a customer or an investment?
It's probably a 50-50. Obviously, an investment in the stage where we want to get the fighter to
a high level
promotion. High level, exactly right. To, you know, gain promotion for themselves and for the gym. My goal when I look at sponsoring someone is like, I've never sponsored someone straight off the bat. We're only a new gym, but I always make them fight first. So I'm like, you pay for your training, you fight first, and then I can decide. Because I feel like I'm pretty good to judge a character on a fighter. You know, like how they represent themselves in the ring. What happens if they get into a situation where they're being hurt or being cut, whether they give up, are they strong enough to continue? And a big thing that I look at, which I probably, you know, like can get out there now, is the way they handle their celebration if they win or lose. So Muay Thai is very, very different in the aspect of wins and losses don't mean a whole lot. Obviously, winning is the paramount, you know, thing that you're looking for. But if you handle a loss better than you handle a win, I would like to take that person on better than if I see someone who's knocked somebody out and they're running around the ring like a fucking headless chook, jumping on the ropes and carrying on like a dickhead. I'm like, well, you know what I mean? You don't really have that humbleness about you, because like the culture of Muay Thai and things like that, they don't really, it doesn't really have that cockiness and arrogance about it.
And then you could, if that guy gets to a high level, he's going to be a nightmare to negotiate with later.
Exactly right. So that's what I mean. Like, it's an investment in the future when you see something like that, because it's all well and good to celebrate. And, you know, if you've put in hard yards and done the win, but like you see some of these people, man, at Bangla Stadium, you know, they're fighting 85-year-old dudes who were probably, you know, out the front cutting mangoes before they got in there. And these guys are running around, jumping on the fucking ring, like doing backflips and shit. And you're just like, what the fuck's going on here? You know, like.
Yeah, it's like, well, I'm a hockey player, so I guess I would compare it to, let's say, I played a little higher level hockey as a kid, but then eventually we end up in men's league. It'd be like scoring a goal in men's league and skating around cheering. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Who gives a shit?
That's what I mean. Like I said, there's a time and a place for, you know, congratulating yourself, but like it's it's very few and far between, like when you get the right people. So sponsorships can be a great thing, and they can also be a pain in the ass.
Yeah, so people should be aware, at least they understand the structure, and you're not just coming over here and kind of freeloading off them as well.
Yeah, exactly right.
And what are gym owners' thoughts on gym hoppers?
I'm a bit different in that aspect, because I'd rather the person leave if they have some sort of negative connotation, because what happens is they'll end up sitting around the gym moping around, or, you know, like getting in someone else's ear and then creating more of a virus than anything. So like I understand people getting upset for it, because it can be annoying when you invest a lot of time into someone and then, you know what I mean, like they lose a fight or they lose 2 fights in a row. So they're like, oh, fuck this, it must be the gym, you know, so then they move on to somewhere else. But in the grand scheme of things, like they're not the person you really want in your gym. So it's probably better off to, you know, cut the head off the snake and fucking let it go. Yeah,
it's a good like filtering process as well.
Yeah, exactly right. But it's just, it can be difficult when you're invested in that person, and then they just think, oh, well, I lost because of the gym, or not. You know. But like I said, again, that speaks about the character of the person that you're working with. So if they don't have the faith in it, you might as well fuck them off.
Now that connection, you've come over to Thailand. Woody's kind of give you a little bit of a roadmap. What was your kind of career plan there? Was it just to, not to say that, to be the punching bag, or like what did you see after that? Like what was coming?
Well, so my theory was, if I'm working with these guys, then I'm going to get better. So like my problem with my fight career was my ambition always exceeded my ability. And I used to lie about my fights a lot so I could get better fights. I'm like, there's not many people in the world that do that, you know what I mean? People are always saying they had less fights or they're trying to get an easier fight. And like I had situations where people are like, oh, the world champion or from 2015 needs a fight. I'm like, yeah, sweet, bro. I'll jump in there, I'll have a go at it. And they're like, how many fights you had? I'm like, how many fights do I need? They'll be saying, 15. I say, yeah, that's exactly how many fights I've had. And I'd really only had 4 or 5. But I never put myself in a situation where I didn't think I was going to win, which is like the biggest thing, you know. Like I had offers to fight some people, and I was like, nah, bro, I'm not fucking doing that. Like, but in that time period, it was more. I was like, fuck it, I'm going to make a career out of this. I'd only had probably 5 fights, and I think it's 5-0. So I was like mixing up with these really high level dudes and understanding I'm nowhere near as good as I thought I was for one. And just
now, is this pure Muay Thai or MMA?
Just Muay Thai.
Okay.
But I was sparring with these dudes as like, you know, this one of their stand-up partners. And it was good. It was just a realization for me, like, and seeing like these are like, especially the Polynesian and the Pacific Island guys, like we're always having fun, but I never really realized the amount of work that these guys do put in, because we'll be out there laughing, listening to, you know, like fucking Olivia Newton-John while we're sparring and things like that. And people walk up like, what the fuck is going on here? These giants are punching the shit out of each other, laughing. And so like, you know, that aspect was really, really cool to understand that they're still the same type of people. But then when I saw the amount of work that they actually do, I was like, fuck, I'm so far behind the 8 ball here. So it was really good. It was invigorating. It like, you know, lit a fire in me, and then I just, kind of progressed from there.
Now, where did that lead to, and to the point where it took you right up to Southside? And I guess we can touch upon like when we were first introduced at Muay Thai and Mushrooms, and you were working at Powerhouse, and kind of connect that story along the road.
So through Tiger, I was there all the way up until the pandemic. So during that time, there was not many of us left at the gym. I'd say maybe 20 people in total. Trying to remember, I think it was Khalil was still there. Sorry, so Khalil was like the main person there that everyone was helping out at the time. Like Woody was doing his S&C, and Will was still training, and he had a fight coming up. I can't remember what it was. So I can't remember when that was. 2020.
2020.
So I was working at Powerhouse and sponsored by Tiger at the same time. Like again, I was very, 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 very lucky with that, because I was like one of the only people that was able to do something like that, because a lot of the other gyms have their very strict, you know, like you're with one gym and that's it. But they were cool to me because I was making, you know, it was the only way I could make a living. And yeah, so eventually through all that, obviously the pandemic and all that type of shit was happening. And that's when I kind of transitioned to Powerhouse full time. I was training under Eddie and Brooke initially, and Jack and James Heelan that was there at the time. I was there strictly just training because I was still actively fighting, and like, you know, that's when I started with the Full Metal Dojo fights. Mm-hmm. And yeah, so must have been the end of 2019 before the pandemic started is when all that type of stuff was happening. And yeah, so then I was with Powerhouse for 2 years. I went back home during COVID for a little bit just because it was like one of those unfortunate things, you know what it was like. There was army on the streets and things like that. You couldn't, while it was awesome and, you know, like it was really nice to be in a secluded beach and doing whatever you wanted to do. Like I used to tell people it was really strange if you didn't know the person that was walking down the beach during COVID. Like, where's this new person come from? Mm-hmm. But so I went home for that, and then end of 2021 I came back to Thailand, and that's when I was like full time. I can never live in Australia again, and moved up, packed up, moved to Phuket full time, and then that's when I was full time one of the head trainers at Powerhouse.
Yeah, I saw you went home a bit, kind of to connect back with your family. I was kind of following you on Instagram from there. Well, what is it for most people living here? That's one of the questions I think people get asked frequently, like that you disconnect from the family and time just flies by here.
In 2020, the doctor said to her, 2021, like the doctor said this in she had like lymph node cancer, breast cancer. She had like 4 different types of cancer, and the doctor's like, listen, your mum's got about 6 months left to live. I was over here. I couldn't get back to Australia as well, which was the most frustrating thing. They wouldn't let me come back. They were like, oh, other people need to get back before you and all this shit. And like the whole COVID thing was just fucking busting my balls anyway. And I think 9 months into like my attempts at getting back, I finally got to go home on a repatriation flight, which was like just another bullshit thing. There was like 30 people on the whole plane because they were scared that COVID could spread throughout the plane. And I was just like, we're all fucking sitting in this one big thing. Like if one person gets it, we're all getting it. You know, what's the difference? So yeah, I went back home to spend time with my mum and just, you know, like do whatever I had to do in that aspect. And that was really shit because when so we had to quarantine in a hotel, and like police in Victoria Victoria is like one of the most overgoverned states in the whole of Australia. Like it's just crazy, mate. They call it Little China sometimes because of the impact that But I got an official letter from Victoria Police saying that everyone got the same letter, that you're not allowed to leave your place of residence or 5 kilometers out of there. But then I also got a letter saying, hey, we know your mum's sick, but you're not allowed to go visit her. So I was just like, yeah, man, fucking stick that up your ass. Like that's the only reason I've come back to Australia, you know? So I left the hotel quarantine and went straight over, with like 45 minutes away to my sister's house. And like, God bless my family, they didn't give a fuck. Like, mate, if the police come here to say, like, what are you doing visiting your chronically mum? Like, you know, it is what it is. But yeah, that was like a kind of weird thing because we were over here sitting on the fucking beach having a great time. Like, obviously it was very, you know, underpopulated and a lot of businesses were going down, but we're all out just doing normal things, hitting pads on the beach, having a great time. Then I got back into Australia and they're like, yeah, mate, leave your house, see what happens. Like, you'll be arrested. And I was like, what the fuck's going on here? So, yeah, went back, spent time with mum and all that kind of stuff. Like, you know, like they gave everyone the letters at the hotel about you will be arrested. It just said, like, you will be arrested if you leave your house and all this stuff. And, like, so I was just like, fuck this. Like, I don't want to live in this kind of tyranny. And so I made my peace. Me and my mum talked. My mum's like, I don't want you here, but she's like, I want you to be out doing what you're supposed to be doing in the world, you know? And like, I was making really good waves at the time coaching. So, you know, I spent like 9 months nearly with her, just flat out. And she's like, all right, enough's enough. I need you to leave. I don't want you just sitting here watching me die. So then got to the stage where I rang Jack Lowe. I said, listen, man, like I've made the decision. Me and my mum spoke, you know, like it's time for me to kind of get back on the track. So, yeah, jumped on the phone. Jack's like, mate, you know, I've been waiting for you to come out. So whenever you're ready, do that. And then, yeah, so the end of 2021, September, came back out. We had a fucking great time, man, Jack and I. You know, like,
is this Jack from Powerhouse?
Yeah, Jack from Powerhouse. And then, yeah, so we just kept going through from there. Obviously, the world started turning normal again. You know, there was tourists coming through the scheme at the time, the SHA Plus one. And, yeah, Powerhouse was pumping through. We were doing really, really well. And then December last year, there's like a whole situation which I'm not really sure it's my place to speak about. So I'll just talk about...
That's fine. And we're not live, so we can cut anything if you're like, oh, fuck, I didn't say that.
Yeah, I'll just speak about my experience.
Yeah,
so like
fine.
there was a time where Powerhouse was looking at moving to a different location. And then that just kind of didn't work out. But in that location was an opportunity, and then the opportunity got presented to me, you know, like privately, hey man, like I'm still going to open this space, but I really need like a head striking coach. And I was like, no, I'm stuck at Powerhouse, you know, not stuck at Powerhouse, I'm sticking with Powerhouse. And then I spoke to my mum again, and my mum was like, listen, what you're doing is great. Like, you know, you just got to do whatever feels right. And then I spoke to a few other friends, like, you know, Woody and stuff included, and then just random people. And they're like, it got to a stage where people were just saying, listen, man, you're doing really, really well for yourself. Like, you're doing good. Like, at that time, I had like Mark Hunt. Mark Hunt was training under me at Powerhouse. Junior Tough was training under me at Powerhouse. And I just got to a stage where people were like, I think you need to realize that you've got your own, way of your own brand. And like I spoke with Jack in depth for like a month before I made the decision. And, it got to a stage where I had to take a couple of days off because I didn't want to hurt anybody. Like, you know what I mean? I was like, I felt like I was trying to please everyone without actually caring about myself. So then I spoke to this really random dude who was just like, listen, brother, this is the straight out truth. And here's a bit of a like straight down. He goes, what you're doing with Powerhouse is fantastic, but you're doing that with Powerhouse. So it's always going to be under that banner. He goes, you've got an opportunity now to go and do your own thing and have your own setup and your own gym and stuff like that. So that was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back, for lack of a better term. And credit to Jack again, man. He supported me the whole way. He understood too. He's like, listen, man, the reason I'm fighting for you so hard is because I know how good you are, which is really cool. And I respect him so much for that. But he also said the same thing. He goes, man, like, you're on your own journey. So like, I completely understand that you go and do your own thing. And then that's how I ended up with Southside.
Now, when you joined Southside, you're the head striking coach, but you're also you have shares in that. You have a piece. of the pie?
I got a percentage of it.
Okay, I wasn't sure if you're able to share.
Yeah. So that was also like a definitive factor at the time. You know what I mean? And then there was like, just different things that kind of like I weighed up over time, and I was really lucky. I had a really good friendship group, man, and they were all kind of like, listen, like, don't worry about trying to please everybody else. Just kind of look after yourself. And I've always been like that, like I feel like I don't want to hurt people or let other people down and all that type of shit.
People pleaser.
Yeah, man. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like that's why I find it hard to say no to people. But like after a while of hearing the same thing repetitively, I'm like, fucking hell. Like that's what I've always had, that kind of issue my whole life. Like even with friends and stuff like that, like friends that I know are no good, but I'm like, fucking hell, I'm going to help them out and make sure that that I've done everything I can to then move on from that situation.
Now you kind of taken that leap, and the word definitely not selfishly, like you've done something for yourself, but you still, that part of your culture that's still true to you. You're not losing the piece of that. All of a sudden, I've given up. I'm not helping.
No,
people.
Well, that's a thing, man. Like I left amicably. Like I couldn't have been any more transparent through the situation. I was, you know what I mean. I was very vocal, and I was always talking with Jack, and I was talking with people from Southside, and I was like, listen, this is where I'm at. You know what I mean. And I was lucky that no one tried to push me one way or another as well. I was just kind of getting to do my, process it as I wanted to. So it was perfect. And then like, I still speak to Jack to this day, you know what I mean? I still see him for dinner, and I still support the Powerhouse Fighters and make sure that, I shoot him a message when they have big fights going on. And everything's good, man, And it's just we're at the stage now where it's more of a community-based thing down in Rugby and like, that part of Phuket.
What percentage actually go on to reach let's say a top 5 in the UFC? It's probably less than 1%.
Exactly.
So when now you've kind of changed your perspective from just being the striking coach, you're also a business owner, but deep rooted in your culture, you want to help everyone. You're seeing a lot of people come into the gym, and do you struggle at times where you have to say no to certain people, even though they feel they might have that opportunity, but from the business mindset and going against your own, maybe, values, you have to make those decisions.
That's my biggest problem. Like I said, like I'll be trying to help everyone, like, oh yeah, this guy can train for free for this week. He doesn't really have that much cash on him. But then it gets to a point where you're like, there's people out there, man, that'll deliberately try and expose nice people, Like everyone in the world understands it. But I've got a good like little ruthless crew of people in the gym as well. I'm like, oh, it's kind of shit on my behalf, but I'm just not that type of person, you know what I mean? But I'll just like handball it off. I'm like, oh, you got to go speak to old mate. They'll, like they have the final say when
pass the buck, so you're not the one saying no.
Yeah, but
like I don't make those
decisions. Slowly starting to like, in a polite way say to people, sorry man, I can't accommodate you for that. So, but I'm learning as well.
Is this a pivotal moment kind of in yourself also as a person, because you're going to change completely now as a business owner? Coming from that perspective of I'm kind of the same, you want to help everyone, but what you start to realize is the people asking for help don't have your best intentions either.
Yeah, exactly right.
They're always looking for handouts, and you need to figure out who those people are and who they aren't.
Like I said, I make people pay for their first month of training, then I make them fight, and then then I might have a conversation with them about that after that. We've only got 3 sponsored athletes at the gym. Like we're talking like I've got 100, but probably have 100 people applying for it or asking for it. So it's just, I'm still going to be the same person I've always been. You know what I mean? Like maybe I'll be a bit more business orientated with my decisions, but it's not going to change me as in the fact of like, oh no, fuck this guy, I'm not going to even bother. I'll still have a conversation with the dude about, listen, sorry man, I just can't facilitate what you're looking for.
Yeah, it's tough love sometimes. And
yeah, exactly.
Now, did you ever have that, like, I didn't connect that part of the story where you got the opportunity with Southside not only to be the head striking coach, but now be a part of the ownership. Was that idea, was that plan ever on the roadmap to, I want to actually be part of a gym, or did that kind of just, spontaneously come to fruition? No,
so at the end of, when I first was coming back in 2021, I like made my first ever affirmation, you know what I mean? I was like, I had a 2 or 3 year goal that I wanted to achieve, and I achieved that in like 18 months, where I wanted to kind of have my own thing. And then like the next thing on my list is be able to be one of those people that can kind of travel to anywhere in the world and be like, oh, that's the guy from that gym, or like that's coach, blah, 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 blah. And like with the, incredible talent that I've been lucky to work with over the last 6 months and a year, I'm slowly starting to get to that stage as well. Like I'm very, very young in my coaching career, as some would say. But like, you know what I mean? I've worked with some of the biggest names that are out there, been to the UFC, like I fly out to the UFC again on Sunday. So like I'm progressing in leaps and bounds, but I just got to make sure that I keep my head screwed on. But yeah, the goal was to always have something to call my own, and like I achieved that in a lot quicker time than I wanted to. While it's still part of the actual brand, that whole striking like department of the gym is mine.
For me personally, like I'm not going anywhere. This is it. This is home. I got the mushroom brand. I have a vision of what I'm doing with it. There is no 20-year plan. I'm just going to ride this out until I don't want to anymore.
Yeah.
For yourself, like, that's it. Southside's home. This is my baby. Let's just roll with it. There's no way out at this point. This is what you want to do.
Yeah. Well, mine more so is that I just don't want to go back to Australia. I just, like, I know this kind of sounds stupid, but like something like where I get to make my own decision. If I want to get on my scooter and not wear a helmet and risk my own safety, that's my choice, you know what I mean? And like, if I get caught, so here you go, sorry mate, there's 500 baht, like, and off I go. But like in Australia, which is sweet, it's safety in the end of the day. But like if you're doing something like that in Australia, man, you're getting like probably $3,000 worth of fines. They'll take your fucking bike, they'll take everything. And I'm just like, those things like that are what kind of, contribute to the fact that I want to be able to do what I want to do in my life. And I feel like Thailand's a place where, like, obviously it's not the best example to use, but I just feel like this is the best place for me to be at this current time as well.
Oh, it's actually the land of the free here, no matter.
Yeah, exactly.
Back home is Canada's same thing. It's not the land of the free there.
That's what I mean. And then everyone's like, oh, what about this corruption and bullshit? I'm like, bro, the corruption's in your face here. You're just like, sweet here, brother, sorry. And then I'm like, you guys live in a corrupt state, you just don't see it.
Yeah, I mean, go look at the highways or any bridge being developed there. You think someone's not getting paid under the table?
Yeah, exactly, man. That's what I was just like.
I mean, go watch an episode of The Sopranos. What do you think all this public money goes to?
Exactly.
Like, so a lot of the guys I go to dinner with, that's why they're here.
Yeah.
They're like, I'm not going to go blackout drunk and drive around, but I can have 3 or 4 and not a worry in the world. And if something happens, here's 5,000 baht, here's 10,000 baht, I'm going to bed.
Yeah.
Back home, it's like your life is finished.
Right, you can't make it to work. You can't do anything. Your license gets taken off you. Your car.
I'm not endorsing drinking and driving.
Yeah. Let's just get that thing. But like,
and have 2, 3,
well, I just think that's part of like, you know what I mean. Like, your life's not meant to be controlled by other people as well. You should be the one controlling your life. If you want to make that decision, you know what I mean. Like, if you want to make that decision to have those beers and drive the car, that's on you. If you fucking kill someone, like, yeah, you should go to jail, 100%.
Yeah.
But like, that's your decision to make. You know what I mean. Which probably still, like, people are going to be upset about.
There's definitely a fine line there.
Yeah, exactly.
I've had this discussion, like, I think we are about to turn into Bali.
Yeah.
Meaning, like, if I call you up in 2 years and say, hey, you want to come on the podcast? You'll be like, yeah, but I might need to stay the night.
Yeah.
I have a feeling we're about to hit because you know how it is in Bali, like Canggu to Kuta.
Yeah.
It's bumper to bumper motorbikes.
Like
I think that's what this island could turn into. Well, but at least we have the infrastructure. The roads are okay.
That's a difficult one because everyone wants more people here. You know what I mean? But it's the quality of people that we're getting at the moment that's really shit.
Yeah.
Like certain groups of, minorities, ethnics and all this type of shit and whatever it may be. But
is that the word you're looking for? Anyways, we love you.
I didn't say it.
I did. I'll take you guys can, no, it's okay.
But, yeah. And then like with the growth as well of like martial arts in general, obviously like, the UFC does a great job marketing and things like that. Like, and we're getting so many people coming to the gyms that, like they don't have a clue, but fuck, 5 years ago, no one else had a clue how to do anything. So like, it's just, with the world the way it is and like, the power of social media and all this shit, people see these gyms and they're like, fuck man, I'm going there. But like, it's getting polluted at the moment, like I avoid Geelong like the fucking plague, man. Like I don't say I hate Geelong, but I just like, ugh, every time I even have to go near the soy, I'm like it's great for a party. It was good for Songkran, but I'm like driving down there the other day, like, cause I have to go to Tiger once a week for like when I watch cause they're really good. Joseph Henley, the head of MMA, is really, really, like I've known him for a long time and he lets me come and watch my boys who are sparring there that I'm coaching. So like I'll go to Tiger and watch the sparring, but then I'm like driving there, I'm like, this is fucked. Take me like 45 minutes to get from one end of the soy to the other because I'm in a car. Yeah. And I'm just like, bro, this is chaos, You
don't know how to walk properly on the road. Like they walk side by side.
Yeah,
I'm like, boys, you're going to get smoked by a fucking drunk Thai guy that's just drank a whole bottle of whatever, the Hong Tom or whatever. And I think there's a bit of a learning curve there and you can see them. It's getting flooded with too much green.
Yeah.
And are you starting to see people stay longer now? Like maybe the years you were in Chalong, people come for a month or 2 months. I feel like a lot of people, they're coming and not leaving.
Yeah, 100%. And like, because I live in Rawai and it's kind of like it's like a hierarchy, you know what I mean? A hierarchy of long stay. So once you do your little time in Geelong and you have a great time and you get over it because you're like, fuck, I've been here for 2 months, this place is chaos now. Everyone just kind of shimmies down to Rawai. And then in Rawai, I've got all these people that are like 6 months to a year stayers, you know what I mean? And then I feel from there, everyone comes over to this side of town. And then like people that have been through that kind of hierarchy end up being in like Serene, Bang Taos, things like that. And that's when they become, like long-term citizens. But Rawai, I find I have like a lot of people that are there between 3 to 12 months.
I've been here 7 years, and you start to turn into like a crusty, angry old. It's different. I definitely. I'm always in a good mood in that sense, but it's. You can walk out your door, and you can pretty much tell. You can eye how long people have been there just by mannerisms.
Yeah, exactly right.
Like that guy's brand new.
I had one in the car the other day. I was driving like through Naihan Beach. I'm like, these fucking tourists, man, they're pissing me off. And I was like, wait, hold on a second. Like I'm still, you know what I mean? Like. Yeah. I was like trying to just get through, like navigating through the beach, and then my mate's like, bro, you're a fucking tourist too. I was like, no, I've been here long enough to not be a tourist now,
Yeah, at least there's that certain point where if you can throw it a little bit of Thai, your Thai is...
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, numbers, food.
Yeah.
Enough that if you're getting gas from a bottle guy, he realizes you're not a tourist.
Yeah. My heritage is Māori and Thai is very, very similar. They believe in the same kind of gods and things like that as well. Like, so it was like... Something that really spoke to me more on a cultural and spiritual level was when I was living here, or like part of the reason why I'm living here. Like my partner, she'll like take me to the temple, and I kind of understand things like the way that they do things very similar to the way we do things.
Could you give an example?
Just like the way they look at life is very similar. Like I said, their gods are very, very similar. Like they have like a water god and a land god and things like that. Like the Plapa Jet and. Like the tattoos as well, like I've got my whole one half of my body in Sakyant, another half in Māori tattoos, and they're all very, very similar in representation of like what their certain things mean. So I like found a really kind of, like homage to New Zealand in that inside of Thailand's culture.
Yeah, here, I mean, they're just more connected to the present, I find.
Yeah.
That's why people always, I mean, I'm doing on the business side and they go slow, and it's like, well, they're kind of just focused on today. They're not really worried. That's why when you promise things in the future to Thai people, and from the business side that can be used as a strategy, like the carrot and the stick, it doesn't work here.
No.
They're like, well, what are you going to give me today? Like, I'm only alive today.
That's what I say to people too. Like my number one thing when the boys come, like my friends come over, I'm like, bro, understand that going to 7-Eleven might take you 10 minutes. And they're like, what the fuck do you mean? I'm like, trust me. Like you might go in for a bottle of water, but it might take you 10 minutes. And then they come out, they're like, fuck, man, this chick didn't even really give a fuck. I was standing there. I was like, what did I tell you, bro? Like, you know what I mean? You're on their time when it seems suitable, like whatever the situation is that it's in front of them. They don't panic. They're just like, sweet, oh, yeah, now we'll serve you. Like, you can...
And when it's this weather, I like to go into 7-Eleven if I'm going for a water and walk. I like walking around these things. Just enjoying something about the air con in there.
Yeah.
It's so fresh. It's like you go in there and you're like, holy shit, this place it's heaven. Let's jump, before we wrap this podcast up, what are we, about an hour? An hour? Okay, that's good. We got about like max 20 minutes. I want to just jump into everything about Southside. Let's talk about Southside, the branding, the image. What is the vision? What does it represent? The culture. Just let us know when people come to Southside, what can they expect?
So, like, our point of difference to everything is we're like a full one-stop shop. We may not be the biggest in stature of the actual place, but like we have fantastic wrestling coach, Joshy. He's a D1 wrestler. We've got 3 of the best jiu-jitsu coaches on the island, like Campbell Sims, DJ Jackson, and Denny. Like, DJ's 8-time world champion. Campbell's a world record holder and things. It's our coaches are the best of the best. Like, obviously myself included, and Will with strength and conditioning, and we got James Powell, our boxing coach. So like, we really invested more so in our coaching than anything else. But like, we have everything at the one place. We have a physio in the front door, Physio Fit, who's like they have another branch in Geelong as well. So we have Physio Fit, we have Pure Prep on premises, which is a food prep company that you can get your protein shakes, all that type of stuff, and your food ordered to that place. Then we have like our massive wrestling and jiu-jitsu area. Then we've got my area of the striking. We've got a 7-meter full cage. There's a pool on site. There's ice baths. There's saunas. There's everything anything that you need from your holiday, for whether it's a training holiday or your fight camp. It's all there. We have accommodation. We've got villas at the back of the place, all inclusive into the area. But our main thing is our like cohesion as a team. Like DJ and I work very, very closely with all the MMA fighters. I work very, very closely with my Thai trainers with the things like. We're small, like I said, small in stature, but like we exceed everybody else when it comes to an actual team environment. And there's no real individuals in our stuff, and that's what's kind of been like what's starting to speak volumes. Why we're getting all these big names. They've decided to jump ship from other gyms, but like we accommodate for everyone, man. We have people there that are just going about their day, having a laugh, trying Muay Thai, all the way up to like top 10 UFC fighters.
Who are you guys catering to? So for example, we have Revolution over here.
Yeah.
That's just pure, that's Muay Thai. Like,
yeah.
They're catering to the Muay Thai fighter that wants to go to Lumpini and get a big fight. Who are you guys catering to? Is it more about the MMA and that kind of full spectrum?
So as a whole, the gym is definitely catering more towards MMA. Like I said, we got like DJ, who's, one of the world's most renowned black belt jiu-jitsu artists, and Campbell, who's like just, another great person like that. But I'm either or, you know what I mean? Like I have a good little stable of Muay Thai fighters at the moment, a couple of really good Aussie fighters that are, we have visions for them to at least make it to one Lumpini by the end of the year. So we kind of cater to any sort of martial arts that has, under the MMA bracket.
Yeah, and your Muay Thai trainers, they're Thai, they're from Thailand.
Yeah.
Here.
So one of our Thai trainers, the head Thai trainer, he used to be the head Thai trainer at AKA. So he's been in the game for a long, long time, like very, very well-known trainer. Another one of my boys, he's currently still fighting at Channel 7, and he's, still very, very active in that, but a great trainer as well. Another one of the boys still, I think up until 2020 was a Omnoi champion. So I've got really good ties, which a lot of people lose the vision when they see MMA. They're like, oh, the Muay Thai is not going to be that great, but our Muay Thai program is fucking really, really good. Are
you guys looking to get like a full potential, or maybe you already have one, UFC fighter, or maybe you already have one that's like, I'm representing Southside, I'm at a Southside, it's going to say that on Sherdog, and you're so young that it's growing, you're getting to that.
By the end of the year, I hope to secure some of the boys that I've been working with, I did my whole, Darren Till was a guy that I taught for a long time.
And you're at his fight, weren't you?
Yeah. So I went to Vegas with him, but at the moment I've been really working closely with Phil Hawes.
Oh yeah,
who's a really fantastic dude. So he's the one I'm leaving on the weekend to go corner him in UFC 288. So he fights in 2 weeks' time. But as far as like getting them to fight directly under the banner, like the gym's 5 months old, and like a lot of people already are like, fuck man, you guys are making some waves for a gym that's 5 months old. And I truly think we're started off better than nearly every other gym, probably besides Bung Tao, you know, like, but we have a lot of big names coming through every day. Like by the end of the year, I'm hoping to have at least, you know, like 2 fighters from each organization that I count as like the higher echelon, you know, UFC, Bellator, PFL, and one. So we're hoping to have a really nice stable by the end of the year. So we've got a really big team goal by our 12-month anniversary, which is in December. So we'll just see how that kind of pans out.
Is it hard to get these American fighters? Like, well, I've been following Khalil for a long time, and he kind of left Thailand, and now he's found his base in US. But then a guy like Phil Hawes, like where is his home gym if he's not here? Like these guys, are they still finding their own home gyms?
Yeah, exactly. So someone like Phil is a great example. Like he's been a part of his gym back home for a long, long time. But he's a kind of a guy that's has gotten to where he is based purely off his athletic freakism. You know what I mean? Like the man is an absolute like athletic eyesore, you know, and you never really see anything like it. His explosiveness and it's incredible. But he's hasn't really ever been nurtured or like, you know, kind of shown specific things or anything like that. He's kind of just fallen in line. So I think, you know, between myself and like obviously he works very, very closely with Joseph Henley and Tiger and stuff like that. So he's someone that I just say to him, bro, do whatever feels right for you. You know, whatever you feel like is the right place to be or the right situation. That's all that matters. But I feel like off the back of this performance, what he's about to put out next week, which I really think is going to be like a dominant performance he's fighting a guy whose only loss is Khamzat Chimaev.
Who's he fighting?
His name's Ikram Askarov, I think his last name is.
Okay.
So the guy's only loss is to Khamzat. So that's what everyone says, but I see this like vision and, you know, my affirmation and all that type of stuff. I feel he's going to blow this dude out of the water. And like I said, we have this little goal. Someone like Phil would be fucking fantastic if we could, you know, have them accredited to the gym. But again, it's whatever the person feels right at the time. You know, I'm not really forceful on any of that stuff. The gym's happy to be working with them. I'm happy to be working with them, you know, so. But we do have that vision of, you know, Bruce Buffer saying, hey, and fighting out of Southside MMA, you know, so.
Yeah. Well, it must be difficult for like a UFC fighter because he's definitely he's not a rookie. He's been in the game he's probably been in the UFC 3-4 years now, right?
Yeah, quite a while.
And for them to make that leap from the US to come to Thailand, and you know whether he has kids or family or a girlfriend, but at least his parents, that's always a difficult challenge as well.
Yeah, exactly. The same kind of thing that we face as well.
And once. Do you find like when you have those conversations, like after he's left the gym, they get Thailand? They're like, yeah, I get it. This is why we're here.
Here, go to one place, you can end up staying there for 6 hours at a time if you really wanted to. Yeah,
and it seems we did me and Hans were with the Block Acid guys. What was it? The Charles Oliveira, Islam Makhachev. We were filming with Darren and Brendan.
Yeah,
we took all the equipment and went over there and just did a kind of like a fight companion or something. So we were filming and watching. But what I've noticed now, especially with Darren and Brendan, they kind of came and then they came again. This is almost turning into a second home to them.
Brendan's one of those people. Brendan's been coming here for years.
Yeah.
Brendan's like 10 years on. And, you know, he's a fantastic dude. Brendan's part of the reason why I met Darren, because I'd known him for a long, long time. But yeah, everyone's slowly starting to understand like the amount of work you can get in over here compared to what's home. Everyone, once you start to come once, twice, 3, 4 times, you realize that you're actually getting more distractions by being around your friends and your family rather than being out here, you know what I mean? Yeah, you miss your family, but you don't have the distraction of the same thing, you know what I mean? Or the obligations that you might have to do. So it's like people that are in this for a career, you know what I mean? If you've chosen MMA, Muay Thai, whatever it may be, to put food on your table, to make sure your family's got a fucking roof over their head, you have to separate yourself from the others, you know? You got to come out here and you got to be working every day. This is now, I truly believe this is now the best place to be if you're an aspiring martial artist or a full-time martial artist.
Yeah, don't tell too many people.
Yeah.
I think it's getting to that point. I'm looking to kind of move more towards the airport, actually just north of Bang Tao.
Yeah.
And I'm already planning, we're going to eventually move to Phang Nga City. That's my goal, like 5-year goal.
Yeah.
Oh man, I've spent some weekends there. It's awesome. Like the actual city.
Yeah.
Like you can get this mountain view. I mean, shouldn't even be talking about this. No, it's
Trying to
shit.
sell it
Don't
out. Yeah,
go.
don't go there, guys.
No, but
horrible.
it's when you're near. You know, when you're near the ocean so long. Like I live right on the beach. I might go 3 months without putting a toe in there.
Yeah.
Just you kind of like take it for granted. Yeah, you just take it for granted. You forget about it. But yeah, Phang Nga City. It's only 10 minutes to that beach, but it's a fishing village.
Yeah.
But that's great. You can hop on a longtail and be at an island. We checked the Google Maps. You're 45 minutes to Ao Nang Pier. So boom, rally. 2 hours to the Koh Samui ferry. So now Koh Samui becomes something you can do on a weekend. We can't do weekends to Koh Samui from here. It's just
like a 4-hour trip from here, just to get to the ferry.
It's
then you got to get the ferry.
And you got to come back Sunday.
Hour 12.
Oh, perfect. You got to be under 119. Perfect. Okay. Just before we wrap it up, is it this camera? I'm just going to kick this camera over to Sammy and just let everyone kind of know your socials, where they can find you, and we'll put all those links in the description as well. That one. Stare into the soul of your audience.
All right, guys, thanks for having me on the podcast. Really appreciate it. So Instagram at Sammy Cass, obviously Southside MMA Thailand. Get down there, guys. Come see why we're starting to be the biggest name on the island. Come enjoy our facilities and have a good day.
That's it. Yeah, I'm terrible at ending these. I've done like 90 and I have no idea. Okay, so thanks a lot for joining us. We got our mushroom supplements. We are actually #1 for lion's mane in all of Thailand. We did it in 30 days. We've sold over 1,000 bottles, and now we're starting to get this lifestyle marketing going. So we didn't expect it. So thanks to you guys. If you've been buying the products, links are in the description. It's only purchased on Lazada. It's only for Thailand. We will not go to the US. We're keeping this pure Thai-based brand. This is made in Thailand, Thai FDA. So if you're in the US and you want this, too bad you can't get it. And that ends another episode. We're out.